Mr. Chairman, nice to see you, sir.
Thank you for having me on.
I take it you've received no phone calls from the Justice Department or the White House in the last 12, 14 hours.
No, the last conversation we had was at the picnic yesterday evening with one of their staff and expressing that we still would have liked to have brought this to a successful close without the vote.
And I should explain picnic. That is the annual congressional picnic where Republicans and Democrats and the President get together at the White House.
And the entire administration, and so all of the key staff was there. But we'd had no contact after that, and obviously the vote has been held.
All right, you've held him in contempt criminally and civilly. Tell me what is the difference or what the impact is.
Based on past experience, it's very possible the President will instruct the U.S. Attorney not to prosecute further on the criminal side. The House has authorized me to hire staff and legal staff who then can pursue civilly in the courts to try to get a federal judge to order separately this discovery.
When do you head off to federal court for the civil contempt?
After a reasonable time to see if the administration will allow compliance by the U.S. Attorney in the District of Columbia, certainly a few weeks.
You think it'll take that long? I mean, won't it be pretty obvious whether they intend to or not?
Well, if the President issues instructions, that would settle it. But if we don't know any better, we certainly have to give the U.S. Attorney a reasonable amount of time. After all, the same U.S. Attorney is also investigating the leaks in his administration. And,
of course, with the Republican U.S. Attorney in Maryland. So he's got a lot on his plate.
He's got a lot on his plate, but you know, at the same time, this is a year and a half. We'll be off for a week during the district work period. Our committee will be planning to continue the investigation, if you will, around the cooperation of the U.S. Attorney General.
What was your thought when the Democratic delegation got up and walked out? Most of them, of course, this was a bipartisan vote. I will concede that, but many in the Democratic delegation walked out of the chamber.
Their walking out was probably symbolic of the fact that in 2008 something similar happened among Republicans. What's disappointing, though, was the facts were lost. A lot of things were said on the House floor today that do not bear any resemblance to the truth. For example, repeatedly members on the Democratic side kept saying that this was begun under Bush, when they know that the programs begun under President Bush were stopped under President Bush. And I've admitted and said they were wrong. And that, in fact, this is a program that was completely begun under President Obama, and that ultimately the Attorney General's Justice Department does own this failed operation.
Well, the Attorney General has made a statement, and he has said others, and I assume that he's pointing at you, have devoted their time and attention to making reckless charges unsupported by fact. He says that you don't have fact, and to advancing truly absurd conspiracy theories. That was said right after the vote.
Well, the Attorney General is a little bit like, if you remember, the Menendez brothers who killed their parents, and then if they had claimed they were orphans, it would have been equally genuine. Ultimately, he's saying we don't have facts. Well, the facts we have point to this cover-up and people in justice, and we're not being given the documents. So it's rather self-serving to say we don't have all the proof of what we're trying to discover, even though we have testimony that indicates high-ranking officials in justice are ultimately responsible for Fast and Furious.
All right, you've subpoenaed documents. Have any documents been forthcoming in even the last 24 or 48 hours? Have they offered you any more?
Well, they've actually given the press some that they denied us. One where apparently the Attorney General looks really good saying, I want no BS, I want to get discovery. The fact is that they are selectively releasing documents from what they claim to have privilege on as we speak, apparently. But no, there's been no offer of documents. As a matter of fact, the Attorney General told us if we didn't go forward with contempt, he'd give us these couple hundred documents. If we did go forward, we'd get nothing.
The White House calls it political theater, what you're doing.
I'm sad that the White House would think that way. When the shoe was on the other foot, then Senator Obama felt very strongly in oversight and in the respect for the separation of our branches and our responsibilities. I would wish he would feel the same way now.
What do you think they have? I mean, this is sort of I mean, is it that they have a grudge with you, or they don't want to turn them over, or they think they have a legitimate right and this privilege and it's important to stand on, or are they hiding something? What's your theory as this advances?
A year ago, July 3rd and 4th, the former acting ATF director, Kenneth Melson, told us that he believed they were covering for high-ranking political appointees. And it's one of the reasons he came forward to give us voluntary testimony, was he wanted to clear the air about what he knew, what he didn't know, and in fact, correspondence he had once he discovered that guns were walking and that some of his ATF agents were part of it.
Did he give you names?
He did. And we pursued those, and that's one of the problems is he gave us the names, he gave us the emails that he sent to, and those are some of the emails that we've been denied.
And do you think that those names that he gave you, are those people obstructing the investigation anyway? Or are they cooperating?
Well, they're certainly not providing the email trains that we're talking about asking for, and we have to consider that a cover-up, because they were, at least if Kenneth Melson gave us honest testimony and there's a crime to lie to us, then in fact they were informed and should have not allowed that false letter to come to Congress and to last for 10 more months at a minimum.
Any last message tonight as everyone starts to go home? We've had the 2 vote. Any statement to the Attorney General you want to make?
I have no statement for the Attorney General. My statement is to the Terry family that in fact we will continue with the investigation to try to get to the people responsible for their son, their family member's death. And we'll let the courts and the rest of the process play out for the Attorney General.
Mr. Chairman, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
What has been a big news day